So I wanted today to do a talk on automation versus augmentation. And I wanted to compare the emerging world that's Geospatial 2.0, which is augmentation, with the existing traditional space, which I call Geospatial 1.5, which is largely focused on automation. So what do we mean by these two terms? Automation is really how everyone's focused in the use of AI. So whether it be machine learning or LLMs, there's a whole focus on speeding up workflows, providing tools for people to automate some of the tasks that were laborious in the past. So you'll hear this term GeoAI. It's becoming very popular in the Geospatial 1.5 world, and some companies are actually kind of trying to brand that term. But GeoAI in a GIS term really means AI inside of GIS. So what does that mean? It means that as an analyst in the middle using a GIS, you now have these automation tools which are AI based to help you do analytics more quickly, to do new things as well. You know, again, if you're looking at a satellite image, to identify the houses in that particular image. So it really helps the analyst do things a bit quicker and do tasks which maybe they couldn't have done before. But that's automating that world. And I think that analysts, I've mentioned this in other talks, analysts are kind of threatened by this stuff a little bit, because the more automation you bring, the fewer analysts you need. And in the 1.5 world, the fewer analysts you need, the fewer subscriptions you need. And a lot of the traditional 1.5 space and companies in that space have got traditional SaaS models which rely on those subscriptions. So they grow their base by more subscriptions. What happens when you automate more in that world and subscription numbers go down? That's a big threat to your business model. That conversation for a different day. Augmentation is different to automation. Augmentation extends something. So it improves on something that's already there, but it doesn't replace it, it extends it. And if we talk about augmenting analysis, again, that might be another GeoAI type thing. Augmenting analysis could be used, but that's still AI under the hood of GIS. Where 2.80 switches things is it augments human beings. So how does it do that? Basically, we take the analyst out of the middle, not a threat to the analyst, as I've again mentioned before, and I'll continue on that thread in this conversation, but it makes humans better. So no more of the processing of the data, no more of the analysis done in a desktop application. A lot of that work is now being done for you by AI, but the most important piece of this is not an LLM, is not machine learning. They're still parts of this equation. It's the reasoning engine in the middle. And what I've been talking about in a lot is that we are now generating these reasoning engines. Now, you'll see in the LLM world, you'll hear many of the big AI companies talking about reasoning now, but they're reasoning using LLMs. And essentially I'll encourage you to read about this, but essentially that means having an orchestration layer that kind of understands what agents maybe to call to then do some work. There's no actual reasoning inside of that. Even though they're calling it reasoning, there is no reasoning. It doesn't work like your brain. Now there is Versus AI, and there are a few others that are kind of thinking down this path, which is actually mirroring the way our brains work. And that is a quite different proposition, and that's a very important piece of the Geospatial 2.0 world. So we use an LLM, whether it's embedded in a GIS or it's a straight prompt-based interface like ChatGPT, to ask a question. The LLM understands what you're talking about and then passes that onto the reasoning engine. The thinking is done by the reasoning engine. It knows the data to get, it knows all of the pieces of the puzzle to make those critical decisions. And that's the point. Again, I'm a bit of a broken record, but I want to make sure people really understand it. When we talk context and insight, we're talking the existing traditional 1.5 space with an analyst in the middle. There is no reasoning there. There is no automation in the action part of that. What we're talking about in 2.0 is actually having a reasoning engine which helps us in that decision-making process. We're getting real-time data coming in, what's happening right now on the ground, not 5 hours ago, not post-event, right now, and we can work with a reasoning engine to actually make those best decisions in those most critical time-based events and take actions against that. So it's a huge difference between what is the 1.5 world, which is based on automation, and what is the 2.0 world, which is augmented human beings. So it means an analyst is no longer, as I was saying, no longer doing the donkey work, taking 3 or 4 days to produce a map of some sort or a dashboard. It means that analyst actually becomes a decision maker and works with other decision makers based on the output from the system. Huge leap forward, undoubtedly coming. And again, I wanted just to make sure that everybody understood that difference between automation and augmentation. Augmentation is what we as humans want. We want to be better than ourselves, but we don't want to be replaced. We want to make better decisions based on things that are happening right now and take those right actions and not guess at it. So there's today's talk. I hope that was enlightening, if I'm allowed to use that word. But it's an important difference. So if you've got any questions or don't agree with me or have comments, I love them. And I'll do another one of these talks very soon. Thanks for watching.